secrets.
Working on his book, you're working on your book.
Capron.
Look, I
You can't
here.
have that.
Gretkin.
Aye. Are here. Here.
Redding.
Here.
Scott.
Here. Can we stand for a silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I'm not positive, but.
Yeah.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rita Donnelly. We have 3 individuals running over my limit, so if I'll try to go slow and read them so you can all understand, okay? Whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges in the nation's cities are increasingly turning to a national service and volunteerism as a cost-effective strategy to meet city needs. Whereas national service expands economic opportunity by creating more sustainable, resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership ability for those who serve. And whereas national service participants serve in more than 50,000 locations across the country, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic and social well-being, as well as increase the impact of the organizations they serve both through their direct service and by recruiting and managing millions of additional volunteers. Whereas the Corporate for National and Community Services shares a priority with mayors nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, strengthen community, and is joining with the National League of Cities, City of Service, and mayors across the country recognize the impact of the service on the Mayor's Day of Recognition for National Service on April 5th, 2016. Now, therefore, I, Robert Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 5th, 2016 as National Service Recognition Day and encourage our residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our city, to thank those who serve, and to find ways to give back to their communities. I'd like to present this to you guys, say a few words if you would like.
Thank you very much.
I just want to thank Jenny Erickson and Kim Carnes and all of our other volunteers through the police department for all the hours that they dedicate and donate to the city. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a proclamation that reads, whereas between 4 to 7 children die every day in America from abuse and neglect. And whereas 3,300 children in the state of Iowa were served by child advocacy centers as victims of sexual or physical abuse or neglect this year. And whereas child abuse can have a long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that can have lifelong bombs, proclaimed the month of April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the meaningful connections and partnerships created between child welfare, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, business, and law enforcement agencies. And whereas each April, Mercy Child Advocacy Center and their other supporters of child advocacy movement ask the community to join in the outreach efforts to reduce and prevent child abuse. Perfect. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2016 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Siouxland, and urge all our citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. I'd like to present this to you and say a few words, and unfortunately, it should be everything, it's not just one.
Last year, 645 of Siouxland's children were seen at Mercy Child Advocacy Center. Greater than 1,000 were seen, including therapy and drug tests. We serve about 35 counties in Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota, and we've seen over 15,000 children since we opened our doors in 1989. 70% this year were alleging sexual abuse, 78% were under the age of 12, 40% were under the age of six. 99% knew their abuser. Their abuser was not a stranger. Mercy Child Advocacy Center is the only child advocacy center in Siouxland. The utilization of our center has doubled in the past 10 years. No child has ever refused services nor billed for their service. We assist in detecting and investigating child abuse allegations. Our referrals come from DHS, law enforcement, and physicians. We see children from birth to 18 and developmentally delayed adults for allegations of abuse, neglect, drug exposure, and witness to violence. We offer medical exams, forensic interviewing, advocacy services, therapy, and education. We're presenting all of you today with a bouquet of pinwheels. The pinwheels represent every child deserving a more carefree, joyful childhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks. Whereas young people who begin drinking before the age of 15 are 5 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence than those who begin drinking at age 21. And whereas alcohol is a factor in the deaths of approximately 4,700 young people in the United States per year, shortening their lives by an average of 60 years. And whereas 31% of high school seniors in our community have used alcohol in the past 30 days, and 19% have consumed 5 or more drinks in a row. Now therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim 2016 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Sioux City, and call upon all citizens, nonprofit organizations, parents, youth, government agencies, public and private institutions, business, healthcare agencies, and schools to be somebody and join together to prevent alcohol abuse among our youth and our adults.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your continued support of a safe, healthy, and drug-free community. There's a lot of activities going on. We didn't bring gifts this time, but we did in October. We brought red tulips, if you remember, and those we planted in October to have them grow in April, and they are growing. So if you planted them, they're about this tall now. So we also are conducting a youth survey of approximately 4,000 students in the tri-state area to learn a little bit more about habits and their drinking habits and things like that. So we'll be able to give you that information a little bit later. Also, we have on Monday, April 18th from 7 to 8 p.m. right here in this room, your Sioux City Mayor's Youth Commission will be hosting, along with Siouxland Cares and Jackson Recovery Centers, an underage drinking town hall meeting. And we'll be finalizing all the questions and all the details tonight, so we'll get you more information on that. And finally, we just want to remind all the parents out there and the people that are hosting prom and graduation parties that please do not serve alcohol to minors. And the one thing that we want to remind everyone is that we really want our youth to make memories, not headlines. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We will go on to interviews for different boards and commissions. Sandra Pearson for the Civil Service Commission. Sandra, tell us why you'd like to serve on the Civil Service Commission.
Hi. I'm currently at the end of my first term serving on the Civil Service Commission, and I would like to, it's a four-year term, and I have enjoyed reviewing policy, been a part of that group, reviewing candidates for civil service jobs for the city, and I feel I've been a great asset to that group, and I would like to apply to serve a second term.
Questions?
How many seats are open?
There's 1 vacancy and 1 applicant.
Thanks for reapplying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gary, for being here for the Yamanashi Sister City Committee, one we had shrunk the size of because we didn't get any applicants. Now we're overloaded with them. How are you?
Hi.
Go ahead and tell us why you'd like to serve.
I've hosted 2 different groups of kids from Japan over the last few years, my wife and I. Saw that there was an opening. My kids are now grown and out of the house, so figured it was time for me to step up to the plate and do some volunteering.
Good. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was fun. It was a great time.
And we have, give me this one, we have like 3 for 1, right?
Yeah, correct. 1 vacancy, 3 applicants.
Mayor and Council, Angel Walls, Parks and Recreation Manager. I'm going to bring forth an amendment to the resolution to increase the number of applicants on that committee from 5 to 9. That would be on the 18th.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you today.
Oh. I'm going to be bringing forward on the 18th a resolution to increase the number of
Okay.
candidates on that committee from 5 to 9.
Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We'll move to consent agenda, which is items 3 through 13B. You can consider these items to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested. If you want to speak on one of these items, please come forward. State your name and address as I read the item. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under the citizen concerns. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Reading of the City Council minutes of March 28, 2016. 4 is a resolution fixing the amount to be assessed against private property, adopting and levying schedules of assessments for the 2015 weed cutting program. 5 is a resolution adopting plans and specifications, form a contract, and estimated cost for the North Lewis Boulevard Water Main Phase 2 project. 6 are actions relating to workforce housing tax credit. A is a resolution supporting the submission of the IEDA application for workforce housing tax credit programs for Hands Property Management, 1930, 1920, 1910 Beck Street, and 1911 Hanford Street. B is a resolution supporting the submission of an IED application for the workforce housing tax credit for Hands Property Management, 4700, 4636, 4634, 4713, 4709, 4613 and 4615 Harrison Street. 7 are actions relating to grants. A is a resolution authorizing an application for the State of Iowa Office of Drug Control Policy Burn JAG program for grant funding for the Tri-State Drug Task Force. B is a resolution accepting the federal aid agreement of the Iowa Clean Air Attainment Program project with the IDOT related to the Seaboard Triumph project. 8 are actions relating to street closures. A is a resolution temporarily closing various downtown streets on June 4th, July 17th, August 13th, and 26th for the Hard Rock Casino's Battery Park Concert Series.
Mayor, I have a conflict of interest on that item. I'll abstain.
Okay. B is a resolution temporarily closing various downtown streets on May 8, 2018 to accommodate the Susan G. Komen Siouxland Race for the Cure. Actions relating to agreements and contracts. Number 9. A is the resolution approving a contract with Brunman Hicks for the Bridgeport West Sewer Improvement Section C lift station improvements. B is a resolution awarding a contract to Nystrom Electric for the traffic signal battery backup project. C is a resolution approving a First Amendment to Development Agreement between BTW Properties, Bronger Foods, and the city, property located at 2101, 1951, 1941, 1931, 1921 Murray Street. D is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the Minimum Assessment Agreement between BTW 1951, 1941, 1931, and 1921 Murray Street. 10 are actions relating to property. A is a resolution proposing to sell the north one half of the vacated 13th Street abutting 1220 Mulberry Street. B is a resolution proposing to sell the north one half of the vacated 13th Street abutting 3916 14th Street. C is a resolution proposing to sell property, the north one half of the vacated 13th Street abutting 3920 14th Street. 11 are purchasing. A is a resolution approving a service provider amendment with Boland Recreational to provide and install surfacing material at the Rose Hill Park. B is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Boland Recreation for the purchase of 2 themed fire playground units. I drive by there a lot. I'm curious as to the I know it's federal money and I should shut up, but I still pay taxes, and I just rarely see anybody using this stuff. Am I missing it? And I drive by there twice a day.
Sure. Amy Kearns, Neighborhood Services. Our staff attends the monthly meetings of the Rose Hill Neighborhood Coalition. And as new families are moving into the neighborhood, they've started attending the meetings. And they have advised that they think that the playground equipment there is not enough for them to desire to walk over there, to drive over there to use it. And they're going off to other parks. They've requested that we put in a basketball hoop for older kids, which we did. And so we're hoping that that encourages more people to use the park coming up, and then the expanded new equipment we're hoping encourages those families to start utilizing that park as well. They've told us during the meetings that that's their plan, so that's what we hope. So.
Okay. 12 are beer applications for beer and liquor license. See the list. You have any questions, please come forward. 13, receipt of minutes. Please list and please come forward. Anyone to be heard on any of the first 13 items? They passed 5-0. 14 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost of the Jackson Street reconstruction project. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 15 is a resolution, hearing resolution approving plan specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the CBD infrastructure improvement project. I'll move it.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 16 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property and authorizing a city deed, part of the vacated alley east of Hamilton Boulevard between West 23rd and 24th Street, and between the vacated and part of the vacated alley between 213 West 23rd and 238 West 24th. I'll move it.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 17 is a hearing and resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract, estimated cost for the Lewis and Clark Park Phase 1 project.
I'll move it.
Second.
Matt, what is the estimated cost of the project? It didn't say in the RCA.
We got about $375,000 budgeted.
$350? Thank you.
And the X's are putting no money in, right?
Correct, not on this project.
Hmm?
Not on this project.
What project are they?
We're working with them on our scoreboard project.
Passes 4-1. I vote no. 17 is a hearing, or 18 is a hearing resolution approving plan specifications, form of contract, estimated cost of the Perry Wake reconstruction project. I'll move that.
Second.
And do we know what the estimated cost of this project is? Some put it in, some don't.
Yeah, could you, in the future, you always put, and I know why you're doing it, but you always put this, there's $7 million worth of funds available, but you don't put the bid price in there or estimated cost.
Vanilla City Engineer, yeah, we noticed that on our 10% some, or at least
okay.
along the way we've been hitting this, but it's 790,000.
Okay, thank you.
Passes 5-0. 19 is a hearing resolution assessing a civil penalty of $300 against Sam's Mini Mart, 923 West 7th for violation of the cigarette laws. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 20 is a hearing and resolution assessing a penalty of $300 against Hy-Vee Food Store, number 12827 Hamilton Boulevard for violation of the cigarette laws.
I'll move it.
Second.
Mayor and Council, for both items 20 and 21, we have received the payment from Hy-Vee for both locations.
Did you still want us to proceed?
Yes, we'll still proceed, but we did receive payment as of this morning.
Why don't we move to delete?
For example, under item 21, it's either a $1,500 payment or a suspension of 30 days.
Oh, okay.
So the council needs to declare an action.
But they paid us already.
But they have paid.
We've suspended a license once that I can remember. Did we not?
For a second violation, a couple times that I can remember that it's been done for a 30-day time period.
Passes 5-0. 21 is a hearing and resolution assessing a civil penalty of $1,500 against Hy-Vee gas station number 12801 Hamilton Boulevard for the violation of the cigarette laws. I'll move that.
Second.
What happens if they get it again in a year?
Then it's a suspension of the license.
Automatically?
Yes.
The 30-day, right?
Isn't it, I thought it was their third violation that they got suspended.
1,500 or 30, and they already paid the 1,500 is why I read it that way. You can vote no, and we'll have to vote on the 30 days if you'd like.
That's all right.
Passes 5-0. 22 is a resolution adopting the 2016 first quarter supplement to the Sioux City Municipal Code covering ordinances through ordinance number 2016-0241. I'll move that.
Second.
This action codifies all of the ordinances that have been passed up to the last council meeting.
Went faster, sir. Okay, there you go. 5-0. 23 is an ordinance amending chapter 1.01 entitled Code Adoption of the Municipal Code to provide for the adoption of the municipal code.
I'll move it.
Second. Passes 5-0. Is anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No. No.
I'll move that. Second.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
I'll move second and third.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 24 is an ordinance amending chapter 2.16, chapter 2.26, and chapter 20.04 of the municipal code to correct miscellaneous inconsistencies. I'll move it.
Second.
The next item is a housekeeping related matter for 3 different ordinances that we've found to have discrepancies that we're asking the council to update. The first item is a change to 2.16, which squares the employment contract for the city attorney, allowing that to be recognized in comparison to council's duties for termination of that position that I currently hold. If something were to go wrong. Several years ago, we cleaned up the city manager provision, which is very similar, which allows a contract to be recognized by the council in addition to the ordinance, which indicates that the city manager or the city attorney serve at the council's election. The second item has to do with the annual reports that are filed each year prior to December 31st by various boards and commissions. The ordinance currently reads that it has to be by resolution. However, a motion is the most preferred course for approval of an annual report, and we would ask the council to amend accordingly. Additionally, the third item is an amendment to a table in our current building code that was adopted a while back. Inadvertently, a wind speed was left at 90 miles an hour, and it needed to be 115 miles per hour. And we're asking the council to clean up that item so it reads with the rest of the verbiage of the code.
Does it make it easier or harder to fire you?
Well, my employment contract was approved by the council, so it just allows for that to be in place without a conflict according to how the code was currently written. So,
No pressure.
okay, thank you.
Passes 5-0. Anybody opposed to waiving second, third?
No.
I'll
Nope.
move it.
Second.
Moore,
Aye.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin.
Aye.
I'll move second, third.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 21 or 25 is a recommendation planning and zoning. Hearing an ordinance vacating the east-west alley adjacent to 1113 Irene Street. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move it.
Second.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. No one from the commission was available tonight, but the commission did vote on a 6-0 unanimous vote to approve this vacation.
Walter's got one of those last names that just makes you hungry.
Passes 5-0. Anybody opposed to waiving statutory rule?
No. No.
I'll move it.
Second.
Radig,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
I'll move second, third.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 26, resolution approving a contract to H&R Construction for the interior remodel along Lines Recreational Center Auditorium Space Project.
I'll move it. Yeah, I do have a couple questions.
Oh, I'd love a second.
Well, my initial concern was with the estimate. The estimate came in 21.5%. The RCA says above the engineer's estimate, which totaled about $86,600. I know that the letter from Regina Smith and representing RML Architects indicated that the bids fell within the range of our cost opinion. That concerns me. I'm not sure how that's defined. It seems to me that's a significant number above what the estimate was. And secondly, and probably more important to me, I think that metal seats in the Long Lines Family Recreation Center just aren't appropriate. I think that the metal seats would diminish the appearance of the building, and I've seen metal seats obviously outside for football games and football fields, but I've never seen them inside. And And I noticed, Matt, you talked about a number of events that were coming. One of them I know I was told was a 2-day event. I can't imagine people sitting on metal bleachers for 2 days. And I was curious about whether or not we had taken any alternates for upholstering or just new seats, or how much more expensive that is. I think Long Lines Family Rec Center plays a really important part in our city in terms of recreational activities. And I don't see any, at least in the foreseeable future, any new buildings being built. And I would like to be able to maintain the facilities that we have in good working order as well as in appearance. And I'm just not sold on metal bleachers.
I think that's it, though.
Yeah, and the arena seats that we have now have been there for a long time, and they're in terrible shape. We were fortunate enough to have some leftover money from the Tuck County project. This was just the most affordable route. If we do anything above and beyond the metal bleachers, we're going to be spending significantly more. We can do that, but that was our approach. It was the most affordable. Get something done now because those seats are in really, really bad shape. I even have some pictures if you want to see.
They're comfy though.
The vast majority of those are not in bad shape.
I'll show you some of the.
Well, you can show me, but I've go there. I know. I've been there. And the vast majority of those seats are not in bad shape. You're going to show me pictures of bad ones. I understand how it works around here. But the vast majority of them are not.
Go back, but everybody has, those are comfortable. That's that most.
What is the cork
That's what's in
flooring
the
for
new-
217 and then you had
What's
flooring
it, the ends for students at the
adhesive?
dome? Yeah.
I wonder
You
what they
want
would
to talk
do.
to that, Regina?
I mean, this is Georgia Tech, their arena in Georgia Tech. And see,
Would you like me to address the question about the court flooring and the adhesive
Well,
first?
well, originally in our capital improvements budget, we had a $40,000 flooring estimate. And here we have 217 plus 16,150, or, you know, depending on whose bid you're looking at.
Correct. This is for a particular flooring product that is designed for this type of use, multiple purpose use. It's not just a wood court flooring, it's a synthetic product that allows for.
Is it like that rubber material or what is it?
It's not rubber, it's still
they look
synthetic
better.
in that it's polymer.
But you're not understanding his question. When we went through the CIP, it showed 40,000 for this. Now all of a sudden it's like 250. It was what?
At least 100,000.
I got it right here. Well,
He's got it. I don't know where else he's missing it, but.
But to answer your question, the adhesive takes into account that if that portion of the project went forward and it was discovered that there was significant moisture in the existing slab, that additional 16,000 would take care of a special adhesive that's designed for high moisture concrete slabs.
concrete is there after all this time.
But the project would include testing the slab. That way you don't have moisture failure because there's moisture in stuff. Moisture can come from solar cells, barriers, or even non-existent barriers. And so in time, additionally, my understanding is that there is some sort in that slab, old ice rink. And if there's any moisture in that system, the slab. So that was just a precautionary. Because I want to see something. And it would only be used if it was actually needed, but that was an alternate that
Could the testing not be different times of the year though too? In a, you know, a wet month like in April or May, you could find more moisture?
I'm sure that that's true, however, these tests have certain standards that and they're looking for relative humidity that is above 85%. And anything above 85%, that's when we look at this alternate product. Again, it's both the court flooring and the adhesive, not part of the budget or the lease bid.
Now, I also want to ask on priorities of project. To me, it seems like the flooring was always a higher priority item And now it seems like bleachers and painting. And yes, I can admit when I'm there, since the new lighting is in, you notice how kind of yucky the paint looks. But as somebody there watching my kids play, I'm more concerned about maybe the floor they're playing on being safe than maybe sitting on a metal seat versus the nice, comfy, ugly-looking seat. And, you know, why am I looking at the paint on the wall when my kids are playing volleyball, you know? But priority-wise, this is just a question of mine. To me, I think the floor should be the higher priority, and maybe some of the padding and basketball equipment rather than the bleachers and the paint.
Well, thought there was, if the painting was done after and there was some drippage on the floor, we'd have a brand new.
Yeah, but there's drop cloths.
Yeah.
I painted for a living. I mean, I know you can paint. And
Give me again why you just can't sit on the concrete. What is I know it's a ADA issue, which
Correct. The difference in elevation between each concrete riser is more than you would typically have for a chair. So most people, their feet would be a little bit.
it's too high.
It's too high. It's actually not code about an inch or two. Maximum code is between 17 inches or about 21 inches.
And you know, the pictures here too, that kind of stuff can be repaired.
Actually, these chairs do not have parts available. So that has been the challenge is the upholstery perhaps you could go in and repair, but the brackets, the mechanisms themselves are no longer available. So you would have to scavenge parts with costs, and those labor costs could get substantial because it's not custom.
There's an example of one of the better seats out there. And the bleacher style seating would look somewhat like that.
There were questions that Mr. Decken had that I want to make sure get addressed as well. You had mentioned cost, budgeting. This particular project it's a very custom project. We have a very tight schedule for this project. The numbers that are used in our general engineering estimates are done on data source called means construction data. And that takes into account national averages, not necessarily specific conditions. So one of the specific conditions of this project is condensing maybe a 2-month project into a 6-week project. And so one way that contractors sometimes accommodate for that is by using more skilled labor, which would increase the costs. So that's probably a large portion of what you're seeing in the engineer's estimate and the contractor's is that scheduling.
And you let the bid out, you knew what the timeline was though, right?
Right.
They didn't change after they bid, did it? Or they didn't do it so they could hurry it up?
Correct. But all educated guesses are done based on the information you have available to you. And so based on the information provided by means construction data, that is what.
So is there a percentage in your mind, would you indicate that the bids have fallen outside of the range of what the engineer's cost of opinion was? I mean, if it comes in 50% higher, would you recommend we reject, or would you, or is it not that simple?
And because of that, because that tells me that they had an idea and an understanding of what the project involved, and they had, so if I had bidders that were all over the place, I would be concerned about that. But in this case, we had 2 bidders that were very close, so we were about 2% apart from each other. And that tells me that the information was clear to me. Now, the engineering estimate would not have included or known what type of labor they chose to use, and would not have known how they would have scheduled their workers and included that in their.
So you're comfortable with the bid being 21.5% above?
To be honest, I'm not surprised because of this really very difficult schedule and circumstances.
Okay.
When it did come in,
Thank you. You know, another thing that concerns me is, and Keith, I can appreciate your opinion with respect to the floor, but I know Matt in his memo to council indicated that he would like to, on behalf of the city and the Long Lines Family Rec Center, accommodate as many events as possible at Long Lines, and he indicated it would be difficult to host events such as some of the that are coming without having appropriate seating for 1,500 people. And one of the indications was also that maybe the NAIA was looking at adding teams or the scope of their tournaments, but I'm as certain as I can be that the NAIA is probably not going to go for Long Lines Family Rec Center hosting a national tournament. And if you're going to host, and I think you're on the right line to try to get as many events into it and use the building to its maximum capabilities. But I just can't imagine people being there for even a day, let alone 2 or more, and sitting on metal seats without backs. And just doesn't seem very comfortable.
And yeah,
But
if the council not comfortable going this route, we can bring something back next year. We'll do some research. Regina has a little bit of information on what new seating would be if we want to upgrade a little bit.
Well, I have 2 issues. First is the seating, and I totally agree with Pete. If you're going to have these really nice, cool events, the last thing you want people to be comfortable. Because I'll tell you, the last thing you want is people walking out saying, damn, that was horrible. You know, I don't even remember the good experience of the event because I have a backache now that I'm leaving, so that's not good. The other thing is, what about parking? You know, this is a big thing in the Sioux City paper here on Sunday. Where are we going to put these people? You know, we have other events going on at Tyson also. So we're in the middle of a rock and a hard spot here. So here we are, we're going to get the Long Lines looking all spiffy, looking great. And then what? Here we are. We have a great event. We have no parking for these people. And you know, we're in Sioux City. People don't like to walk. Well, God, you know, if you have to walk a block, they're going to have a fit. Heaven forbid. So, you know, even if we put up a parking lot, people would have a fit because they have to walk 2 blocks. Well, so we're going to have to figure something out. The other thing I have a problem with, after we get this all fixed and looking great, we better have the people to keep it up, and we better have people out there making sure that it's clean. Because you walk in that right now, and it's embarrassing.
I think it's been clean myself.
15 years of muck that
It's terrible.
It's pretty bad.
You could spray it down right now, and you would not even come close to getting the first layer off. It is disgusting.
We tried to power wash this summer, but the seats, underneath the seats is not sealed, and the water goes down into the kitchen, so we're pretty limited on how we can clean that.
Well, it wasn't kept up. That's the have a game plan.
Right.
Period. Otherwise, I won't vote for it.
You have a 1,500 seat deal coming, and I'm assuming they're coming because your rent's awfully cheap compared to other buildings, but is it a dead time in the Tyson that you couldn't, I know you guys don't like to necessarily share, which I really struggle with, but wouldn't it make more sense to just move that over to the Tyson rather than pay for seats? And even if you have to rent it so it doesn't appear that we're giving somebody a deal over somebody else a deal or something. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable you getting a deal, but I'd be uncomfortable everybody getting a deal, but I don't know, it just seems like a lot of money for a deal that's gonna be a 2-day with 1,500 people to me, but I wasn't voting for it to begin with, so, you know, where I was at, but.
I support your proposal. I think it's a good one. I think it's overdue, and I think it would serve its purpose for what kind of activities we hold in there. I've been there several times myself, and Rhonda's right. It does need to be cleaned up. It doesn't have a good appearance, doesn't have a good feel to it. I think this would accomplish that. I'm afraid if you get into the comfortable seating, which I don't disagree with you, Pete, but if you get to the comfortable seating, that's just going to increase the cost even more. And we're looking at sporting, mainly sporting activities, aren't we?
Mhm.
I mean,
I don't think you'll find an inside sporting event that has metal bleachers, though.
what do they have at the high schools?
Fiberglass
Fiberglass.
benches.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, I bring my Hawkeye pad with me. I bring, you know, you've got ways, especially if you go to a lot of these with the kids, which I've done over the years, and the grandkids, you've got ways of making yourself comfortable. Unless you're talking about a price that's within, you know, within the ballpark of what we're looking at here. And I don't disagree with the mayor either. I mean, it's a high price for what we're paying, but gosh, it's needed. It's badly needed, and I think it's a good compromise between maybe a really, really nice version and something where you just let it go the way it's been going. And if we do that, then let's take a look at the overall purpose of long lines, and is it out of date now? Has it served its purpose, and do we need to do something really different overall? Because the Tyson study we're doing doesn't include long lines, isn't that correct? Yeah, just Tyson. So maybe we need to look at the purpose of long lines, but I think it serves a purpose in the community. I think a lot of people go there. I mean, I'll go there even with those bad seats, hoping I don't rip anything when I get up and get down, but I think it's a good proposal, so I would support it.
And this proposal is the most maintenance friendly. I mean, metal bleachers, there's not a whole lot you have to do with those arena style seating.
So will you be able to
That's a good
plug
point,
up the
too.
holes and be able to?
It's supposed to be sealed, so I think the power washing is something we would like to do annually. We just can't. We tried it last year, we mopped it.
Yeah.
Actually,
That's not gonna, you're still gonna have water leaking. They always have. They had it when they had the hockey in there. That's one of the things that was a problem. When the way it drains, it all drains to that floor thing way down on the northeast underneath the stage. That's where that whole thing drains to.
I'm not sure you're gonna be able to seal it.
So I don't know how you're gonna drain it with that floor down there now. You can't never gonna be able to power wash that. Because that water's got to get, the only way to drain that thing, when they used to do it in the hockey, was it drains under, am I right, Stan? It goes underneath the stage. So it's gonna have to run all across that floor, which means that water's gonna be underneath that floor forever, which means it's not gonna escape. So you have good intentions, but it will never work. Tell me I'm wrong, Stan, but I remember how it used to be. It's like a river when that thing starts going down underneath that stage, when it starts to melt.
Well, then there's no way that they can that they're gonna be able to clean the bleachers unless you do it.
we'll just have the wet mount.
Right. That'll be,
Mayor, you're up there, Dan, you've been up at Briar Cliff. What's the seating capacity there?
Where's
At
that?
1,500?
Briar Cliff.
They put all brand-new seats in this year, and it was less than what this is, I guarantee you.
I don't know how many seats are.
I don't know what the capacity would be, but it would be nice, I think, if we had some kind of alternate bids to have an idea if it's way out of the ballpark or if there's any chance to even get close to. Because I think you're headed in the right direction, trying to utilize the building as much as you can and to get groups down there, and it provides a lot of options for them in terms of using the building. Gosh, metal bleachers, I just think it diminishes the attraction of the building. The minute you walk in, it would, but that's just me.
I agree with Pete.
We can look at alternatives, but the painting and the bleachers still would have to be
Yep.
bundled together, just because underneath those arena seats, it's a mess. It needs to be all stripped down and redone.
And I didn't realize.
To do epoxy on that concrete?
Durable floor coat product. It is not an epoxy product, which means it's a paint product. It doesn't have the durability.
Can I find out what it is?
Yeah, it's actually in the bid document.
Matt, you've been to other venues. You've seen aren't aluminum bleachers
Well, ours
accepted?
was
And
repurposed, you know,
Oh, it's 20 over here?
as a rec center. City-owned rec centers have a lot of bleachers in it. You compare it to like high school venue or anything about that, yeah, maybe it's a little higher quality. So for our uses and for maintenance, it's gonna be done on that, we thought this was probably in the available budget. If anything more than this, then that's fine, but we're gonna be spending.
They have a lot of wear and tear on them, I would think. We try not to be hard on things, but you're at a sporting event and it's fairly common.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, the Tyson Event Center is used 90% of the time for sporting events, and nobody even wanted plastic seats up in the balcony, as I recall, which was the right decision, because you go into the Mid-America Center at Council Bluffs, and it looks like a second-rate facility, because it's all plastic seats for the most part. But why didn't you put plastic seats in the balcony of the Tyson if it's not about doing it right? That's just.
Mel, what kind of events are you wanting to go for?
Well, the same events, we want to accommodate the events that I mentioned in the memo that are 2-3 times a year. And just our ordinary business, we have a lot of just, sports programming there in the mornings. And my feeling is that the aluminum bleachers would meet those needs. The other events, if they want to come, if they know what we got, that's great. But the events, we have a lot of rentals. Most of what we do is just the rentals for the courts. And they don't always have a lot of seating, but whatever people want to use the facility for, we want to be able to be multi-purpose.
Do you think that we're going to be renting it out enough that we fill it, 1,500 seats? I mean, do you think that?
Well, that's another discussion we can have. Do we need, for those 2 to 3 events, we need 1,500 seats, but is that the way we want to?
Could you bring in a bleacher and bolt it down,
No. So this will have 1,500 when you're done? That's the
Probably
capacity?
a little bit more.
Actually, we're closer to about 1,700.
Yeah.
The bid.
Because they could consider a seat to be every 18 inches, and could maybe fit more in.
But most of the time, you're not going to be using that many seats.
Right.
So chances are you're going to, I don't know, I'm going to guess you're going to maybe use 500 at the most.
Other than the other occasions.
Mm-hmm.
But leaving them, we struggle because leaving them just nothing there causes another problem.
Sure. So will you continue to be having the birthday parties and all those?
Sometimes those are just on the courts themselves.
Will these metal bleachers have back support? No.
No, he's gonna have a slow. And pick up a few bucks on a Saturday morning. You ever been to a ballpark?
Yeah,
University of Iowa, they sell chair backs.
they go fast.
New idea for you and I.
LLC.
In our
Jesus.
retirement. We can be down there hawking seats on a Saturday morning.
As we travel the country. As experts. I can't even get a second, Mayor. Looking for a second?
Well, I'll second. I don't care.
I think so.
For me, this flooring has been in our CIP, and I remember 6 years ago, had to be done that year, and we put it off, and it was back in the CIP again. I mean, it's just kind of always been kicked down the road, and the bleachers have never come up as the high priority. And as a safety feature, I mean, if you've got, kids playing a sporting event, the bleachers aren't what's affecting them. It's the floor.
Well, can we defer it and get a couple more bids on the seats? Or do we have to do it all over?
This bid would have to be rejected. The process would have to be rejected and it'd have to be rebid, more than likely packaged with a different design or a different seating compilation because the bids are, we know what the dollars are for.
And what is
how it's been designed.
you don't have the breakdown of painting and seating and all that in their deals.
Yeah, but we have it here.
Right. So, I don't know. I think there's a little more information I'd like to have too.
Arena seats, bleacher seats, 270,000. Painting, 82 of the ceiling, 82. Walls, 26. And then painting the existing handrail, 16.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion. Or my second.
Here's the,
Let's give Matt a week to sell all you guys on what a great idea it is.
Well, here's the other thing to keep in mind, and this is speculation on my part, if long lines were going to be there for the long haul, then I'd probably look at this a little bit differently, but we're not even sure about that. And I just want to I want it to be nice and I want it to be usable. I want it to be as maintenance-free as we can get it. But I also want to try to be within reason so that if 5 years, 10 years down the road, we decide to do something really different, we're not out a whole lot of money if we go that route.
You want to withdraw your motion?
We're going to do it for a week?
Yeah. Well,
We're not here next
It'll be
week.
2 weeks?
It's not, Gene, I don't know if pushing this back 2 weeks, we miss our timeline for trying to hit the project this summer.
Our goal was to have approval by today's date. If we do push that back, that reduces the amount of time for our schedule, obviously by 2 weeks. It does make it very difficult because we're already in very difficult schedules.
How do we not have time? How do we not
for
have
this
time?
deal, for this particular bid date that they, or completion date?
Well, can't we just move those?
I would love to, however, we have some fixed events that are in that facility that we're working around.
Like what?
Catholic Congress is one of them.
And then there is a wedding, and also too, the season begins and the courts are focused.
So why can't you start it after those dates?
The season is very full, thankfully.
Yeah, starting in September, we get really full. So we have to sneak this in, end of August and working around. We're already working around a couple of events.
So what is the timeline then? When would you start if that got passed tonight?
Well, we would start as soon as, of course, the notice to proceed would come after this evening, and that would give us approximately 2 to 4 weeks to evaluate submittals from the contractor, and then that would also give us between 4 and 10 weeks for material orders, and then that would allow us to begin work by the 13th of June.
I'll leave my second place. Let's vote one way or another.
And how long does it take to finish the job?
We've given the contractor 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Between the wedding and the Congress event, there's 6 weeks. And we have to basically have a certificate of occupancy after that 6 weeks. But after that event, we are allowing the contractor to go back and do final touch-up and final completion.
What is it you're having? What?
There's a wedding followed by the Catholic Congress event that we're working on.
And did you promise them new seats, I'm assuming?
No, but
It's awfully expensive for a bench seat at $180 a seat.
yeah, go ahead.
Again, going back to the concrete risers, there's only so much existing space that we have available. So it really kind of limits our choices and seating that we can use. Codes require that we have a certain aisle space, and so that kind of limits us to this bench option that we've been talking about, or the folding seat option, which is there existing. That will allow us to have the appropriate aisle spacing we need. If we were to compare those two options as far as cost, the bid for the benches is about $50 for a 4-foot section. So you can get about 3 people for $50 with the benches. However, again, this is taken from the means cost construction data. This isn't taken from the actual bid.
Right, well, $270,000 for 1,500 seats.
Yeah, that's for, material and labor.
Right.
So if we were to look at maybe the padded seat option or even a plastic fold-up seat option, national cost data for each seat is about $350 per seat.
Gee,
So calculate that 1,500 times.
that's
Or
double
there
almost.
are a pedestal type seating that is listed here. So if $200 to $350, it is a significant difference.
But could you not bid something like the painting, have them take out the existing seats, purchase the seats of your choice, then have staff install them?
No.
I mean, we wouldn't be able to do that during the summer months especially. And the winter months is our busy time, and I don't know how that works with new staff doing those sorts of things.
I mean, how many of those events are gonna have 1,500 people though? Any of them? The weddings, I mean,
The Catholic Congress one would.
why could we not use the convention center? Is that booked already?
That was their choice. I don't know why they came.
Is this much cheap?
They've always had that long line.
Why don't we just offer them a free upgrade to the convention center? And
I don't know how that, if we have, during the summer months, I don't think we have the staff to make that happen. Not the summer at least.
can we steal some of Stan?
When you say the 3 seats at $50, I mean, that's not $50 a seat, that's 3 seats for $50.
It's a 3 set.
4 feet.
Right, yeah. So
4 feet really
So
kind of
that's
sits
sig-
2
that's
people though. I
significant.
mean, you're gonna go, I mean,
that's significant, even if it sits 2 people, it's still significant.
in general though, on a 4-foot bench, I don't know, well, you said 4 foot or?
Yeah, 4 foot.
Okay, never mind, sorry, I thought you still, I guess 24 inches per seat. Say the average person takes up 18 to 24, so, unless they're a kid.
Minimum code is 18 inches per person.
That's not considering the size of,
Easy.
Yeah,
You may need a vote before you're done here.
Okay, what do we
Thanks
want to
for the
do here?
information.
And I know I'm gonna, I know I'm gonna be wrong on this. There's no way you can appeal the ADA to be 21 inches. There's no mechanism, because I know there are.
That is International Building Code.
I know it is, and there are ways to appeal those.
And that would be the city's jurisdiction. There is, you're right, there is a process of variation of this. If we make those aisles narrower, by making them narrower,
Not asking them, I'm gonna sit right on the concrete. 21's perfect for me. It's no more, less comfortable than sitting on what you're talking about.
actually, 21's actually a more comfortable height for the average adult.
That's what something I explored, that's why I explored that in the first place, because I've tried it myself. It's,
And the age of the building and all those things have to be taken into account when you make that appeal, am I not right?
that's correct. However, when you do make changes, really it's the city's jurisdiction to decide such things. And so if the city jurisdiction does decide.
You know, we were gonna spend thousands of dollars in changing toilets around here, but we don't have to because we're not doing any major renovation. So it's all in the definition of what a major renovation is how you define what it is to bring it up to ADA code. And I'm sure the city attorney will disagree with me, but we're not changing all the bathrooms around here because that was stupid. And it was, because we're not doing anything major. Changing carpet is not. And I'm not so sure you could make the argument that this is a major renovation, but I'm sure that I'll be found wrong by the Human Rights Commission. They'll be writing me a letter, but that's beside the point too, so.
Well, and you could always do a mixture where you have the nicer seats up towards the front and bench style seating towards the back.
yeah, we don't currently have the budget to do that, but.
Right, right. Well, if you're gonna spend the money, you might wanna get what you want. You know, part of this, right now, you could be looking at, I think you should replace the floor. And then maybe purchase some of the nicer seats. And then you have some of those on hand, ready to go for when you do bid out a painting and, you know, sealing of the floor or whatever it all is that you wanna get done. I mean, it's, you only have so much resources, you know.
Just to comment briefly on that, going back to the numbers, the $269,000 for the bleacher seats does include the flooring preparation. And so if we were to swap out, say, the court flooring and the bleachers, we would like a little more than the budget would be over the 400,000.
I was just saying, buy the kind of seating you want. You don't have to install it yet. You just have it on hand, ready to go.
Well, I guess my call would be, being that we're not looking at 1,500 seating all the time, people, we're only looking at maybe 300 or 400 seats that people are going to use. I'm okay with the bleachers. So I guess that's where I'm looking at. Now, if we're going to accommodate 1,500 people 2 or 3 times a month or once a week, it'd be probably different because you want everybody comfortable. But and Dan had a good point too. They could bring their own little seating pads and understand that that's what they would have to do to be comfortable. So I guess I'm okay with that.
You probably have, what, 250 there a night? Because you'll have a soccer game, you have all their parents, you have volleyball, you have all their parents. I know not all of them sit there and watch their kids. I've seen some of them sitting out in the lobby there.
Yeah, it's mostly Saturday mornings, but yeah, we'll have 200 to 400.
You have internet in the building?
We do have
Internet,
All
We
right.
do have Wi-Fi.
do you?
I don't know how it works, but
Well, let's vote.
Wonder if you have it. I call for the question. Let's move on one way or another here.
Okay.
This is taking way longer than it should have.
Did we move it? Somebody second?
Yep,
There's a motion, and a
All right, let's-
second on the floor.
Time to vote?
yes.
Thanks, Regina.
Welcome.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
It fails 3-2. Moore and Capron voting aye, Scott Radig and Gretkin voting no. We'll move on to the presentation of the 18th Street Viaduct project overview.
Mayor, Council, we have video here tonight. We have Tom Kellogg to give a presentation on the Street Viaduct project. I want to give it Wanted to have this presentation, give you guys up-to-date information on it. So if there are any questions to us before we bring it back on the 25th. We'll be discussing this when we're in DC next week.
First on what the project consists of. The viaduct itself will be about 500 foot long. And in order to get over the tracks, you need 23.5 feet of clearance. So the actual top of the viaduct will be about 30 feet above the rail. And because Floyd Boulevard is at such a higher elevation at that point, you don't need a lot for the west approach to touch down. But on the east approach, there will be an 8% grade to get down, to touch down right at the Steuben Street intersection with 18th Street. And you see a road there called Cargill Road, and that is required to replace the 2 driveways that are impacted for Cargill. And that would go underneath the viaduct and then hook back up with those 2 driveways. The intersection of 18th and Steuben would be reconstructed. And in general, there'll be 3 lanes on each leg of the intersection with right turn lanes on 18th Street on both legs. Hawkeye Drive is realigned and reconstructed. So right now you have it's a kind of a 5-legged intersection at 18th and Steuben. And we're going to make that a 4-legged 90-degree intersection, as well as the intersection with Cargill Road and Hawkeye Drive. And then you also see in kind of purple there, truck staging area. That's basically to try to reduce the need for these trucks to park along 18th Street and along Steuben Street during their peak times. The potential schedule, our 90% plans are due April 18th of this year.
The Tiger grant application is due the end of the month, April 29th. And then our 100% final plans and specs are due August 1st. The Tiger grant awards are announced in October this year. So if the project is successful for Tiger grant funds, we put together a possible schedule. The right-of-way acquisition would take about 8 months, maybe 9 months, from November to August of 17. The project could be let in October of 17, and then construction could begin in February of 18, with about 18 months required to construct the project. As far as the estimated project costs, the total project is about $20.8 million, and of that, construction, engineering, utilities, and right-of-way is about $18.7 million. The truck staging area is about $850,000. And then from the east end of the viaduct project to the Floyd River levee, there's a need for a new storm sewer and sidewalk to extend the improvements that are being designed as part of the viaduct.
You really need to spend $850,000 on a staging area?
Pardon?
Do we really need to spend $850,000 on a staging area?
It's basically an opportunity to get the trucks off the streets. As you close that grade, you're going to have a lot more traffic using Steuben and 18th Street. And so you really don't want to have trucks parked along 18th and Steuben. So this allows them to basically get off the street while they can wait till they can access Cargill.
We can't just allow them to stage at our parks area or field services area?
Well, any new parking lots within the city has to be surfaced, if that answers your question.
They're not, you're talking
This
staging.
isn't a construction staging area, this is for permanent staging, like
Oh.
Cargill during harvest times.
Okay.
To alleviate the problem.
That helps me, thank you.
Sorry,
I thought it was like a temporary construction staging area. It seemed awfully expensive.
Does the bridge have a sidewalk over it?
Pardon?
Does the bridge have a sidewalk over it?
Yes, a 10-foot wide sidewalk.
I didn't know we could build them because we didn't out on Otterville. That's news, so that's good to hear that we figured out how we do that again. Thank you.
Kidding me? Really?
The sidewalk would actually begin
Surprise.
near 19th and Floyd, and then it would run parallel to Floyd up to the viaduct, and then it would go along the viaduct all the way to the Floyd River levee. And it would
Amazing. I'm just impressed that we thought about that. I don't know how we didn't out on Outer Belt.
All right.
It's another story.
Well, we do need to do something because people are walking on that bridge
you're
and it's
right.
as unsafe as anything I've ever seen.
Totally
I
right.
don't know why we would ever do. They're walking, and when it's snowy, it's terrible up there. for
Maybe we
pedestrians.
shouldn't build the mega bike trail bridge the way it is and address the bike trail. Okay, sorry, it's a different subject. You go ahead.
Well, this slide is just a summary of some reasons why we close at-grade crossings. Safety, it does eliminate the chance for a train accident with vehicles or pedestrians or bicyclists. It'll improve the traffic flow in the area because there's going to be no delays resulting from the trains blocking the crossing. Reduce maintenance costs, maximize your viaduct investment by encouraging the motorists to use it. And then the Tiger Grant planning grant did require 2 at-grades to be closed. I'm just going to go through real briefly the 3 at-grades that are being considered for closure. Along 18th Street, Floyd would, 18th Street, the pavement would be removed. We do need a new water line to replace an old one there, and new storm sewer to replace that storm sewer. The existing sanitary sewer will be rehabilitated. Along 11th Street, there's actually 2 at-grade crossings within the limits there. And I got another slide that kind of shows you a little more detail on that. This is looking east, I think it's looking east along 11th Street. You got a steep grade from Floyd down to the tracks. And you can see in the background there's an overhead conveyance that Cargill uses during their operation. Workers for Cargill routinely are walking across the street, so there's a worker safety issue there. Cargill has indicated that if 11th is closed, then they would be likely expanding their plant. And then at 28th Street, the ag grade is pretty close to the Floyd intersection. Hoven Drive is not finished yet, so that would be advantageous if it was. And then Hawkeye Road in this particular area is not in very good condition. So just an overall, there's currently 3 at-grade crossings between Outer Drive to the north and Gordon Viaduct to the south. And so you got 11th, 18th, and 28th. None of the at-grades would actually be closed until the 18th Street Viaduct's open to traffic. So this would be late in 2019 at the earliest.
Now, wait a minute. We've already committed to closing where? If this project goes through, we're committed to closing 11th?
We're closing 18th, 11th, and 28th are both up for discussion. We have to close 2, but both are up for discussion.
Well, because there's people not very fond of closing 11th Street that have buildings down there. And there will be lots of people that will not be excited about closing 28th Street. And I'll be one of them, because we continue to not worry about that Springdale area. And, you know, I've asked, if, as part of this project as well, why are we not paving from 18th up to by PQ Auto Parts? But
Maybe the plan Human Drive where is that what you're talking about?
no, it makes a lot more sense to open up, to make it safer, because you're going to close 31st Street someday, because the railroad has effectively closed it. Let's just, and if the B&N gets mad at me for saying that, I don't really care, because they've done it and it's wrong. But you need to participate in paving a road from the UPS, the Jolly Time Popcorn building up to PQ Auto. That's on the west side of the tracks. On the west side of the tracks of the B&N tracks. Because you can't have good ambulance and fire service up in Springdale without that, guys. If you had a fire today in Springdale of any significance, the Leeds Fire Station could not handle that fire by itself. And you will run them to 18th, would probably respond would be Greenville, which means if there was a street that went parallel to the tracks on 18th north of the UPS and ran up to PQ, you'd have dual ways to get people in their fire prevention. We're bottlenecked here, and we're talking about the CN. That's all we're talking about in the Canadian Railroad, but it doesn't do that much traffic that it's a real obstacle. But we continue to get up by here, but we still have no way to get out of here once we get to the B&N tracks. So why are we spending $18 million for a fix it here? I don't understand until we look at it. I thought we were going to look at it as, it's not your fault. You just got here, and it's not anybody's fault. But when are we going to look at how we get people in here, now how we get them out?
Yeah, we only, on the east side, we only have the one grade separated crossing. And you're correct. I mean, this.
And we make it harder to get up there is what I'm saying. You didn't make it easier to get up there. You made it a lot harder to get up there. A lot harder. As part of this plan.
I think with the proposed overpass on the west side, I mean, we ensure that we are going to have continuous unobstructed access. Yeah, it does restrict it to that one location, but we are assured that motorists or any other vehicles will be able to get over there. On the east side, yeah, there are a number of areas that we would have to look at additional projects to make these improvements or to make this a reality, to ensure that we do have continuous access through there.
Okay.
And none of these projects are cheap or easy, but it's, I mean, we're getting there project by project.
Sixth Street, you're looking at an underpass potentially. But,
They were looking at that 30 years ago when I was here. Okay, let's just lay that on the table. 30 years ago, you were looking at that. Right?
raising the money, I guess, huh?
Go ahead, I'm sorry I interrupted.
All right, not a problem. Potential cost sharing, the Tiger grant request is going to be about 14.8 million, or about 71% of the cost. There's a local match that's estimated to be about 6 million, which would be the other 29%.
And the railroads agreed to that.
We are in discussions with UP about what their share would be, and also with Cargill about what their contributions would be. We don't have a hard fixed number yet.
So I just want to go through some key selection criteria in winning the Tiger grant. They like to see that the project's ready to go. The plans and specs will be done. The right-of-way can be, we've met with all the property owners, so I think that it's well along its way. The railroad and other agreements should be in place by the end of the year or early next year. The environmental document has been approved. There is a reasonable schedule set up for the right-of-way acquisition and for construction. There is a significant local match, and there are local matching funds that we anticipate will be committed to the project. With that, we can open it up. Any questions you might have?
You think your 18-month construction schedule is aggressive? That just seemed really fast.
It's very doable. It's all off alignment, so you can do a lot of that construction without even impacting the traffic. We tried to do that during phase one, and the bridge is probably the biggest item of construction. And then the east approach, we're going to have to surcharge to get the settlement out of there. So that'll occur during that first phase as well. And that first phase may be 9 or 10 months. And then you can do a lot of the paving in that last 9 months or so.
It's just a big bridge. They don't take that long to build.
Yeah, it's just a 500 footer, not too bad. It's dealing with the railroads that sometimes can be a little more time consuming.
Yeah, I don't think it's the bridge itself that's causing me some pause. It's everything else that goes into it. But
The settlement's gonna be a time consuming, like you said, trying to get the surcharge on there to get the settlement out of the soil.
There's 30 inches of settlement that's anticipated to occur, so about 4 or 5 months, and then you take it back off.
yeah. And I'm with the mayor on, we're not obligated to close 11th and
We're
28th.
obligated to close one additional crossing besides 18th Street.
Not both.
So what are the additional ones?
11th and
11th?
11th or 28th Street.
We haven't had enough, we haven't had public meetings. We've had a couple of public meetings, haven't we?
We did have one public meeting. At that time, we were really only considering 11th Street, and then after the public meeting, we started talking about possibly considering 28th as well.
And I mean, with the financial partners, each one would like a different, closure of the other one.
I understand.
So both financial partners, you would really almost consider closing 3 if you want to get all of them participating.
Closing what?
All
Which?
3 of them if you want the financial partners from the railroad and from Cargill.
One's wanting 11th Street, the other's wanting
Cargill, and
28th.
Street is important to the railroad.
I didn't hear much on the 28th Street closure. It was on the 11th Street with the businesses there that would,
There'll be opposition, I think similar oppositions you had on 31st Street on the other side from the 28th Street closure. I mean, again, that's a railroad crossing that I think you see an exorbitant amount of time closed anyway due to their switching operations, and that's.
when does that decision have to be made?
Probably before we submit our Tiger grant, we want to include our cost sharing in
And that's at the end of April?
Yes. Like I said, we're trying to meet with them to discuss what they're.
Well, it's nice they can meet with you because they couldn't meet with us on that rail, or in that bike trail. So it's really nice you found somebody that can meet with you.
And you can meet with the adjacent business owners as well, again? You know what I mean? Okay.
I mean, there's an obvious Cargill's desire to close 11th Street because of their facility being on both sides. The UP is, I mean, the UPs were obligated to a certain financial contribution regardless, but they would be, the discussion of how much more would they be willing to close if we close one on Main Street.
I'll be right up front. It's 11th Street for me. I mean, doing projects like this, it's about the long-term effects of what you're doing. And closing 11th Street will actually grow the tax base because I can almost guarantee you're going to see a commitment from Cargill to want to do something with that space. I mean, it doesn't make sense having it bifurcated the way it is. And there's existing facilities that would have to move, and I understand that it's not fun to do, but I think for those facilities, it might help them in the long run, you know, and I think it just helps Sioux City move forward if we look at closing this really steep, kind of screwy crossing. I've always wondered about 11th Street, you know, why it.
And I don't want you to get the wrong impression. We're not asking you to choose one. I mean,
I can already choose for it.
I think is going to be to look at all to go for all
three.
You're going to have on the west side of Hooten Valley, instead of what was there prior, now you'll have 3 grade separated crossings, fairly equally spaced apart, and I think you'll have the access issue on the Hooten Valley on the west side taken care of. I agree with the mayor that we have significant ones on the eastern side of the Hooten Valley that we need to start to address once this is complete.
Well, if you're gonna.
1 grade separated crossing on the eastern side, and we have currently 2, hopefully we'd have 3 if we were able to get the site.
I know, but look, if it ties in with contributions being made, that's gonna speak volumes, correct? I mean, what can you say to that? You know, and what can
So
you
if the
tell? What can you
railroad's
tell
willing
the
to give about
other
$1 million
owners
for
that
that,
have been in Sioux City doing business for years as well, you know? Just asking for public hearings, public input, fair hearing, that's all.
so if the railroad's willing to give at least $1 million, then I'm all right with that 28th idea, because that's about what it costs for us to do that trail overpass that they weren't willing to.
Together, you have them in a situation that they want something from us, and we should take advantage of that.
So we're gonna spend 1.2, was it, on this
That's what makes sense
overpass
not
on
to.
the Floyd
Over a
Trail?
million, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, it was about probably 1.3 over.
Yeah, and we could have tunneled under it. When the project was being done, that would have been the perfect time to leave the trail crossing there. But they had found some way of, you know, having it be glossed over in our contracts on that project. And we had to buy land or pay, what was it? Did we pay them loss of value for loss of access to their land? I mean, and all this time, they've never been a partner with us. Oh, yeah.
But your total, but your total contribution, you're looking at 6 million, right?
Yeah,
14 times your 6 million?
Cities, Cargill.
So don't limit yourself, don't limit yourself to $1 million, I mean.
That's what I said, it's gotta
you're
be at
trying to-
least $1
You're trying to
million.
raise 6 million.
Exactly, yeah, I agree.
Don't.
This is how those work, Dan. It's the city, 5 million.
That's not how this one's gonna
Railroad,
work.
500,000.
No, that's not how this one's gonna work, Keith.
Yeah. Now watch it come back, the city, 575, or
What else you got?
Got a little handout to kind of a preview. It's a snippet of the project timelines and whatnot. This is the document we're taking to Washington, of the talking points, and Brittany will send those out. And as indicated, we will be back, I believe it's on the 25th of April, with the application, so you will see this again.
Well, you better get a public hearing set real quick here, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll probably do it separate from a council meeting and do it,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's real good.
through the week of the 18th.
What was it, what was this week?
This is the handout that we'll have for the NDC. It's just a quick handout when we meet with USDOT about the,
So this is public now, and this can be public? So, Would you hand one over there to, hand one over to the press, because we, let's publicize this. Please.
And this doesn't even figure all the gas wasted sitting for a half an hour waiting at a train, right?
Right there.
I think it is, I think because we are trying to also get a Iowa Clean Air Attainment grant too. We'll be applying for that based on fuel consumption.
Because this 18th Street area is known for its clean air.
That'd be nice to him. He was in that picture with me.
What's that? Oh, yes, that's right. You might want to give him one of them. I had like 5 of them, extra
Those are
copies,
going to
man.
the kids.
Huh?
Those are going to the kids.
Good. Well, I don't know how many kids
Any,
you got.
any other citizen concerns?
Thank you for your presentation. By the way, that was helpful. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Bob. Citizens.
Yep, I'm Bob Larson. We've got Crazy Bob's up there, been working on it. Started on the siding and we had some damage on the outside and got it fixed up. And there's a type of grant that we can get for doing facade work on the building. And they said that if I got started that I wouldn't be available to have that. And I'd like to have that kind of looked at because it is a pretty major project, doing the siding on the whole thing, putting soffit and fascia. We want to put a entryway that would go towards the parking lot so that the elderly folks that don't have to walk all the way around the building, and then when it's raining, it affects the business. And it would just make it a lot more customer friendly. I think it'd be more appealing from the street. Where we've gotten started with it, it's turning out really nice. It still has to be stained and stuff. We're just kind of at an impasse where we're at right now.
Okay.
The business has been phenomenal. People have really been enjoying the place. And like on weeknights, we're out there by 9, 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock on the weekends, which is what I told people we were planning on doing. We have had really good responses from people.
Well, I can tell you, you got great food, you got great service, because I've been there. Thank you for investing in Sioux City, because we really do appreciate that. I'll have Jeff come up here. Maybe he can help us out a little bit. We did discuss this a little bit about the facade. Jeff's going to get together with you and his staff, and we'll get some.
The total award for one project is $60,000. We currently have a balance of $40,000 in this fiscal year. We get new money starting July 1st. So depending on the total amount of the application, it could still be done this year.
So I think that Bob probably needs to understand that he's got to do a matching fund to it. Did you understand any of that, or has anybody sat down and explained
I got
anything?
some of the paperwork and I started looking at it when I was doing it, and right away I saw that if the project was started, you're done. So I had to get that backside of the building covered up, so I got started. And I stopped working on the project at that time.
Well, we
I
can work
could use
around
some
all
help
that.
filling it out and understanding what I need.
Jeff will help you with all that. So he'll sit down and explain the whole situation, and we'll get it all figured out for you.
Then
So
how the funds are dispersed and if there has to be a note and those kind of questions that came up in there, I didn't understand everything.
And we can sit down and discuss those. There are a mortgage and promissory note that gets tied to the property. It's a forgivable facade program. There's also a match on your part, but we can sit down and go through those details.
Why don't you give him your card if
I
you
will.
would, and try to get with him this week here and figure it out.
Sounds good.
Jeff has his cell phone number, so he can.
Rhonda got me that. So.
Okay. All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
That brings up a question, Jeff, on,
Yes.
I asked maybe 2 weeks ago on 1516 Pierce Street if that had received facade money because that project is still not done.
1516 Pierce Street. Is this the insurance building?
The old Woolbridge Insurance.
That received money for, and I got to go back and look. We checked with Chris. It received money for some of the windows and I believe the door, but the information, I think there was a siding concern. That was not a part of our facade program, but I can send that out to you all.
Can we make sure that in the future, if we're gonna give out facade money, the project gets
That
completed,
finish.
even if it's not related to?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what's all going on up there at that building. If they've just completely stopped or they're,
I think it's 15, 16 floors,
Yes,
something like that.
because there's the brick veneer at the bottom. There's, put a little bit of brick
They
veneer on the
stopped.
corner and that's it. And, you know, I feel like the taxpayers got ripped off if they're sticking money into a building and that's what it looks like.
yeah, and we'll check to see if that was considered to be their match, and if it was, then it would be required to be finished.
We already paid the money.
Yeah, because the pieces that the facade program funded were completed.
Well, from now on, we gotta make sure that match gets completed then too.
Yeah, and I'll check on that.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're right, but that was probably part of the match, it didn't,
It could be.
Yeah. Right. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Kratkin? Really?
Nothing. Yep.
Not a thing?
Not a thing.
Okay. Rhonda?
Oh, Bob,
Really?
sorry.
Mr. Moore?
I didn't get your check, so I do have one thing, Mayor. 2 weeks from tomorrow night, Tuesday, April 19th at 7:30 PM, City Hall, 5th floor, Council Chambers. The City of Sioux City Parks and Rec Department will hold a second public input meeting to discuss the Chris Larson Park Riverfront Development Project. The first meeting was February 25th, public input meeting with Smith Group, JJR Architecture, and the preliminary park concept for city-owned property formerly utilized by the Argosy Riverboat Casino was up for public discussion then. So we want to encourage the public to attend that meeting, April 19th, 2 weeks from Tuesday at 7:30 PM. That's all I have.
Oh, no council meeting next Monday, by the way.
So I did want to ask on the citywide cleanup this last week, did it go better in other locations? Because I came downtown with my CV from US Bank. So the downtown location, not a major success, but there were two other Floyd Trail and Perry Creek Trail.
Mark Sims, utility director. Feedback that I received was a repair number
I know it was cold.
showed up. And I think it was 18 bags maybe collected of trash. I assume they showed up in each location.
There was no one here.
And we can keep that in regards.
Okay, well, you got it now. While you're here, negotiations with US Peroxide, are we about to a point where we're getting an odor control plan?
Yes, April 18th, council meeting will have an RCA for you. And that's assuming that they will give us the signed contract back. We've had some changes already.
Because I just think about, you know, Lewis and Clark Park down there, the baseball field, it doesn't matter how much money you spend if you go there and it still stinks. So we just need to get that done.
Yeah, that's a significant portion of that.
And it's part of our commitment from our plan to reduce odors about 5 years ago.
And how long does that contract run through?
So we got
If you approve it, it will be
Every time I've been to Green Valley.
about a year and a half left, right?
Yes, I never
Right, it
smoked.
does coincide with our budget year. We'd like to.
I did know that.
Yeah.
Oh, so the library.
Year, so the end of June.
Well,
Okay,
Mr. Ryan,
but
remind us.
are we looking at any other things? Because I don't know anything about this, but I keep getting this deal from these guys. Did it work or didn't it work? Can anybody tell us that? The thing that, Rhonda, what's their names? Ted and those guys, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what our hesitation is about. I mean, do they do the same thing or does this do something different?
They take care of the odor after it's in the air, and then there's treatment with their material. The chemical addition we do takes care of it while it's in the water before it can escape. They both have advantages and disadvantages, and I guess we would like the time, Jim and I, between now and when the final year, final renewal completes to be able to do a lot of investigation and determine if, you know, if there are other technologies that are worth looking at.
Well, I want to know, because the odors have gotten worse down there. So did it work when they had it in there?
My understanding, Mayor, was that it created an atmosphere that was very difficult for our staff to go into because it restricted the airflow. And it was, perhaps it wasn't it should have been a full-scale test instead of a small scale. And so it actually confined the odors, some dangerous odors into the building, and our staff actually couldn't enter during the time that it was being tested.
You know, this is funny because this is the first time we've ever heard this.
I know.
You know, and that's what
That's why I
upsets me.
don't know what's,
You know, there's something going on, something's being kept from us because we're not getting the whole story. And thank you for that, because we never heard that. And the way I feel is, I'm sure Mike and Ted would have told us the same thing, but they probably were not aware of it because they were going in the same building that everybody else was going into. So that I don't get.
And I'm going on secondhand knowledge.
Right.
At this point, since I wasn't here, but.
Well, have you ever sat down and, have you visited with either one of them? I mean, have you sat down and had a conversation with these guys?
Absolutely, several times.
Have you thought about continuing a conversation with them, or, I mean, is this a?
I talked to them just late last week again.
Okay,
And I would anticipate they may be here for the April 18th meeting.
okay.
But my intention is to bring forward to you the final year renewal of the contract that you previously approved. And you can certainly choose to not do that if you like to, but I assume that since council approved that contract, that you'd like to continue until the end of the renewal cycle if you feel that, you know, that has served your purpose.
Well, I tell you what, they did that test for at least 3 months, and everything went fine, as far as I know. And they did it on their own dime. It didn't cost the city nothing. I would think that we should give them a fair shake. I mean, I don't understand what the problem was. So this is the first I heard about what you just said, so.
Yeah, I believe they were able to take in 100 cubic feet per minute of air, and we need 1,500. So they would have needed to do a really full-scale trial during that time.
Well, and it probably would have cost them a whole lot more money, and, you know, they were just doing this on, like I said, on their own dime, and I think it cost them quite a bit of dough to do it for 3 months. So, you know, I don't know how that all works, but I'd like to see them, you know, give it.
and I'm not taking a shot at you, but I've been hearing this for 2 years now. They've been here for 2 years,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And
Well, more than, are you talking about Mike and Ted?
I'm talking, they've been here back asking us to do something. And for
Oh.
2 years, we've been saying we're going to analyze it, we're going to look at it.
It's been more than 2 years.
I know, but I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Been close to almost 4 since right after we got in
We're
office.
certainly happy to do that. We're just, you know, in the time that I've been here,
Yeah,
mostly
done
winter time, it's not a
lift
good
station.
time for us to do that type of trial.
Yeah,
So we wouldn't have
they were given a
opportunity
chance,
to
but then
evaluate
they
if
just
we do
threw it
our-
out.
Here's my problem, just so I'm going to tell you right up front. If we got money to do this air deal, and they're not doing it for free, then we ought to do one of these and pay them to do it, find out what it's going to cost, and then we decide it, because we're going to be a year down the road when this contract's up, and we're not going to know if it works or not. Now, we must have another lift station that probably needs some odor control, I'm guessing, besides York Street.
Potentially, they could do something at Floyd with those canisters. They'd have to look at those, see whether they could retrofit.
I don't want to get a year down the road and say, well, gee, we really don't know about their technology, and so therefore we're not going to we're going to enter into another 4-year contract with the Peroxide people. And the Peroxide people are going to try York Street, and guess what? If it doesn't work, guess who's paying? We are.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're not going to do it for nothing.
They did a trial and a full-scale trial.
They charge you for the chemicals, I guarantee you.
Sorry.
They charged you for the chemicals, I almost guarantee
Sure,
you.
we paid for it.
Absolutely, you're in there, and I don't blame it, and I'm not blaming you, but in their existing contract, they did that. So, I guess I'm really frustrated that for 2 years, I'm being generous with 2 years, that we again don't know I mean, do you know anything about their technology? Because we asked the question, and some of the staff, you say, well, we don't know about their technology.
I know the engineer that, Mr. Lawley has worked with apparently in other projects, and I just haven't had time to call him and talk to him. I also know the gentleman another engineer who did some of his PhD work at Iowa State on this particular technology. And so I'm happy to visit with him as well to see, I think he had a different opinion than what Keith Hobson of Fox Engineering did. I think it's two differing opinions potentially on the same product.
That's fine, I hope by the 18th you can talk to those guys and give us a report ahead of time so we have some facts, because now it's a deal where, well, guys, guys, come back in another year and maybe we'll try your deal and maybe we won't. But if it appears that their technology is sound, I would be willing to vote, I'm only speaking for me, to do Floyd, because it certainly needs some help down there, and try it there to see if it works. And a year from now, we'll know which works better.
Yeah.
Mayor, I believe their top technology is similar to what we do with the biofilter at the wastewater plant, other than their material is a different, rather than.
It's a carbon rather than
I'm sorry?
it's a carbon material.
Right. And they do claim that it's eternal. I'm not sure that I agree with that, but that once you install it, you never have to replace it.
Okay, but that's, I mean, if you
I just
would
want to know what the story
contact
is
the
once and for
engineers,
all.
we'd have a better idea, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
Sorry?
if we contact the engineers, you'll have a better, I mean, you can at least talk the language, none of us can.
Yep, and that's on the agenda too, so.
All right.
Happy to
And you
do
can-
that and
Yeah.
I'd hope, that would be great.
Can you look at the other communities they've had successes in as well?
I'm not aware of any that they have, but I can ask them for a list.
Well, they've been around
I
though for
think
years, haven't
California's
they?
the closest place.
Yeah, California.
And I don't think it's a comparable,
What?
apples to apples situation.
It isn't?
I'm not sure they have success there either.
Well, that's the stuff we need to know.
Yeah, because I thought they've been around for a few years. I thought they would have been in other communities.
And I certainly don't want to speak for them. They can certainly.
We would be the first community that you know of, outside of
I know, but
California?
we need to know all that because people in the public keep.
Would you find
Kind
a-
of putting Mark on the spot. He doesn't have.
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I do want to look at what other communities they've had successes in.
No, I'm not trying to put him on the spot, but there are people in this community asking me why we're not giving them a chance. And without
Right.
the facts, it's difficult for us to refute things.
I'm happy to do the research
And,
report
and,
back to you.
and if they're not in any community, then we need to know that.
Like 4 years ago, though.
Almost
If you'd like to form a council memo prior to.
Yeah, I would personally, yeah.
No, many of you will be, well, I guess you guys won't be gone next week.
And I think you should share that with them.
Yeah.
So,
They've been back here more than once.
so I would really appreciate you doing that.
And the final thing I wanted to bring up, Mayor, we're kind of getting beat here on this Big Brothers Big Sisters fundraising. And we only have $50 raised for the guy representing the city doing this rappelling, so we need to step it up. Because we're getting beat by realtors, we're getting beat by media people, and we're even getting beat by a guy that doesn't even know that he's gonna be doing this yet, so.
Well, I'd say you better start advertising a little
That's
bit.
right. Well, I got it on Facebook. I probably have to link it to Rhonda's
you need
page.
to go
Are you
fund me
raising your
account.
own money?
What's
Yeah,
that?
go
Are you
fund me.
raising your own money?
No,
I
it's,
thought
well,
they
it's
were-
the,
Yeah.
it's the page, and I know Lisa down in Economic Development is,
So where's that at? On what?
this is on the Big Brothers Big Sisters website.
Okay.
But you can tell I'm getting beat pretty bad if I'm only at $50, so.
How much you got in?
Yeah.
$50. So does that,
I will pledge to give $100 if you guys will all match that $100.
You gotta be kidding me.
Even if you
That
don't.
is a lot.
Jeez.
Dan, you
$100
can't do $100, you're a high-priced lawyer. Bob tells me this all the time.
He is,
High-priced
too.
lawyer, high-class guy.
Bob tells you a lot.
I mean, your tie was probably $100. It's hard
A
to
poor
find
working
pink.
girl working 3 jobs. What do you expect?
Easy, we
Jesus.
don't wanna go there.
Easy.
Let's
Shut up,
just figure
Bob.
out
That's
the $100.
it.
Mayor's lost control of the
Okay.
meeting.
I thought when I read that Lisa said
What's our
she was
deadline?
doing the fundraising.
Yeah, Lisa's doing the
And
What
fundraising.
is some poor unsuspecting client gonna get whacked an extra 100 tomorrow?
What's no, tonight. What's the deadline for
How many
making a
friend you got?
pledge?
It's gonna,
What's the deadline?
72 days, it says, so.
June 15th is the,
Oh, you got
Is it
plenty of
deadline?
time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but some of
Maybe
these
we
people
could-
have $950 up already.
Maybe
I'm
we could do a bake
$900
sale.
behind some of them.
We only need 1,000.
We'll do a bake sale for you.
All right. Banana bars from Rhonda.
Yeah, there you go. I'll make a ton of them. Yeah.
Thanks
There you
for,
go, Mayor.
Well, if you can't read it,
thanks
then I
for
guess I'll
doing that. Make
just
sure
jump
you
off the.
read the fine print of the waiver.
That's right. And
Keith?
Been there so long, I scribbled through all my notes because I wanted to bring something up, and I can't find it, so I guess I'll just forget it.
I'll just repel instead of you then, Keith. How's that sound?
You will?
Sure, I'll see how much money I can raise.
like I said, I just got a link to your Facebook page and get another 10,000 views.
Yeah, do that. Rhonda will get it for you.
Link to Bob's video of the ship being launched.
There you go. I guess I don't know what I want to say. Is there anything else? Good to have you back, Bob. Boy, you were really missed. We appreciate it. Can looks good. Spent a little time on,
As I say,
a little time on the beach.
Yeah, he went to Dominican. He never gets out of the bar, that's why.
Anything
Never
else?
gets any sun.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Scott,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Redding.
Aye.
Do you want to take these?